Good morning, Wrestling Inc. Get up, get going. It's Thursday. Wow, time is a flat circle. To me, your managing editor of WrestlingInc.com, Nick Hausman, joined here as I am every Thursday to get thirsty for some pro wrestling punditry. It's our good friend Paul Pratt, aka Polio Del Mar. Paul, welcome back to the Wrestling Inc. Daily.
Thanks for having me, Nick. It's always great to be here with you and to talk with our fans and following and readers.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in here today. I guess I got the time wrong when I scheduled it. I scheduled it for like 11 p.m. instead of 11 a.m., but whatever. You're all here. I see a lot of people already tuning in here. Sometimes that happens because of a setting on the back end, but it's really not important. You're here. That's great. Let's have a show. Before we get into it here today, obviously we want to address what's going on with Daphne right now. Posted this video last night on Instagram Live. A lot of people became very, very concerned about her well-being. Mick Foley, I know, was on TMZ overnight with his plea for people to reach out. Blue Meanie, many others last night asking people to reach out to Daphne or check on her home. As of this recording right now, I don't believe we have an update on Daphne, Paul. It's a very scary situation, and obviously we want to like send our best out to Daphne here and hope everything is all right with her.
Yeah, the latest I saw actually was that that there had been members of her family to be able to reach her. I think one of the issues that people were experiencing is that she had recently moved, and many people close to her didn't know how to find her new location. She just hadn't communicated that. So, I just came back from a weekend away with Mickie James, and Mickie and Daphne had been roommates. And the last time I actually interacted with Daphne was the very episode of Mickey's Gaw TV show on YouTube, where they announced that I was going to be going to Empower with Jamie Senegal, and Jamie and Daphne are super close. So my thoughts go out to Shannon for sure.
Damn, dude. Yeah, I really Daphne was one of my favorites too. You can't see it; it's just off screen here. But on my wall right here is actually an autographed photo from Daphne that Colt Cabana gave me, and it weirdly is very sentimental to me. But the fact I see Daphne literally every day on my wall, I don't know why. This one just kind of hurts, and also as somebody who struggles with their own mental health, it's tough to see people struggle with this kind of thing. So just to kind of put a button on this as we kind of wait to find out what's going on with Daphne, if you out there are struggling with anything, I really encourage you to reach out to somebody. I use BetterHelp.com. You use the promo code PW number 4L, get 15% off your first month. I joke, but if that helps, please do. It's hard to deal with things sometimes. You really never know what's going on with other people. But if you are struggling, I do encourage you to talk to somebody or just DM somebody that cares about you. My DMs are always open, even if I don't know you. If you're having problems, feel free to reach out. So
yeah, I want to also say that I think that there's a lot of stigma around mental health, and I think that people who are experiencing depression, it's already internalized that you feel like this burden upon other people by sharing, and I don't want to bring you down. I had a friend recently call me struggling with something and said, oh, you're probably thinking, whatever, and kind of inserted a series of negative thoughts. And I said, actually, I'm not. What I'm thinking is, it seems like you need some help, and if you feel comfortable calling me to get some of that, and if there's anything I can do that. So I think that it's just a reminder that you do not know what's going on inside people's heads, no matter how they present externally, especially on things like social media, because nobody kind of goes out of their way to make things on social media terribly real. So if you're out there going through this, definitely look for assistance. And sometimes it could be a social media post that just says, "Hey, has anybody experienced this?" And you'll start to get a flood of feedback.
Yeah, absolutely. So obviously sending our best to Daphne and anyone out there who's struggling right now. And I would imagine by tomorrow we will have an update. But for right now, that's all we've got. All right, let's get to it. We got a big show here today. A lot of news for the past 24 hours to dive on into. Also, later on, if you're in audio form, you're going to be hearing the full audio from Tony Khan's AEW All Out media call. It's being recorded here at 1 p.m. Central Time, so about 2 hours from now. So we're not going to have a new conversation or interview debuting today on the Wrestling Inc. YouTube channel. But as soon as I have that audio, we will have it turned into a video that'll be up on the YouTube channel. And of course, you can hear it right now later on the show if you're in audio form listening to us. And that's why the show's late out today, too. Sorry, everybody. And at the end of the show for everybody, we're going to dive into the mailbag. We're going to look at a possible surprise match at AEW All Out. I'm confident Pollo Del Mar is going to strut down the ring ramp there and debut a new talent to battle Andrade, which is what we'll talk about in the mailbag. But you're on fire right now.
Me?
Paul, you do, Paul. I'm not, not a huge Billy fan, and Billy will probably say the same about me. But damn, Paul, very proud of you, man. Really great to see you out there killing it right now. Everybody show love to Paul in the chat room here if you'd like. The comment section is open. You can write whatever you want, like Dave in here, Nick in the house, man. Whatever. That's fine. Thank you. But yeah, Paul, dude, you're killing it, man. You feeling good? You got to feel good coming off this past weekend.
This past weekend, and for so many reasons, was historic, for the National Wrestling Alliance. And I think that it was historic for so many of us who were part of it too, because people forget wrestling personalities start out as wrestling fans, right? So we're like, I'm not going to lie to you. I was in a dressing room full of people that are well respected in this business on various levels. And the doors opened and Gail Kim walked in and I literally screamed, "Oh my God, it's Gail Kim." And I looked at Kiera Hogan, who was to my right, and Chelsea Green, who was to my left. And I was like, well, damn, that was embarrassing. It was just so instinctual,
Yeah.
And Gail's somebody that the reason it was so exciting to me is Gail and I have been in contact with each other on a friendly basis for over a decade, because I interviewed her for the first time like 15 years ago.
Oh, wow.
And we've become friendly since then, but I've never actually been in the same room with her, and certainly never on the same show with her, because we've always been, far apart and that. But anyway, it was an incredible event. And I think that in a lot of ways, it really showed people that a smaller promotion like NWA can trend. I mean, Empower was the number 2 trend in the US for a little while on Saturday. So beating out UFC, and we were all really proud about that.
It is. I think the thing about the Empower show that struck me the most was just how many talented women there are out there that are, for whatever reason, not under contracts at bigger promotions. And, why is it all the guys get signed and there's just so many women adrift, Paul? I don't get that. That's a very weird anomaly to me right now in pro wrestling.
I want to say that one of the things that struck me so strongly as we were heading into Empower actually is NWA and Mickey were both, promoting the Women's Invitational by announcing people one by one. It's like, and who's next? And then all these fans would like tag incredible performers, like these incredible women who are so talented, burning it up in their own capacity. And it occurred to me then, I was like, oh my God, there's like 50 people on this show, and there's at least another 100 who could be on this show. These women are incredibly talented, and they're on fire. I just think that it's hopefully we'll see change a little bit, because Mickey and Empower and NWA proved that women's wrestling can be provocative and incredible without scandalous or, and it's just a beautiful thing to see.
So what's the plan? Are we going to see another one of these? Is this going to become a weekly series? Do you have any idea what's going to go on? I mean, you got to strike while the iron's hot here. And something definitely special happened over the weekend, Paul.
Yeah, I don't know what is happening. I came out as a manager, so I don't know what's actually going on behind the scenes, but I will tell you that Billy, Mickey, and the crew all seemed very keen on proving that this was possible. And then I do think that there's a possibility that they'll capitalize.
Okay, cool. All right. Well, let's get to some news you can use. News that'll leave a bruise. Man, I saw this comment here. Aubrey James, can we get a 10-bell salute for NXT? We will miss you, my friend. Rest in peace, NXT 2012 to 2021. The Observer saying Vince McMahon and Bruce Pritchard are set to produce the NXT brand moving forward. McMahon,
because they're so great with the other brands they're working on.
Yeah, they don't have enough on their plate. They're certainly giving everything they have right now the full attention to create a quality product. This will certainly not stretch them even more thin, Paul. You're right.
I mean, they're doing so well to make compelling TV that I really want to watch anyway. NXT was literally the only product coming out of WWE that I've watched consistently for the last 5 years.
So McMahon and Pritchard are going to produce the weekly NXT show when the brand returns to being live later this month. So we have one more week of pre-tapes, and then I believe it's the September 14th show where the Index marriage is happening, and that's part of whatever this big relaunch is going to be. So McMahon and Pritchard are going to be behind the big decisions for NXT, but not the smaller ones. I have no idea what that means. They're also responsible for marketing, promotion, and direction for NXT. And regarding creative, it was noted that McMahon and Pritchard may only be booking the wrestlers at the top of the brand. So, hell, we could have got Gladiator Cross a heck of a lot earlier if Vince and Bruce had the book, Paul, right? I mean, Gladiator Cross versus Samoa Joe, and Samoa Joe could come out like a real Samoan with like a pig on a spit, right? Fire dancers, really make him Samoan. He's not Samoan enough, right? Like you could really push that.
Yeah, I'm very distraught about this decision making because, wow, what comes out of this for me is what we've all always thought that Triple H had this golden ticket, right? Because he's married to Steph and obviously very trusted by Vince. What a slap in the face this is, to him personally, because he's spent all of this time building this product. And then now it's all been taken away, and it looks like it directly reflects on him, even though I think that anybody who's actually watched that product probably feels very similarly to myself, which is I would watch that product 10 times before I'd watch one episode of Raw. I barely can make it through Raw. What clicked into my head just now is a quote I saw from Nick Khan saying how the show could benefit from a 4th hour of Raw. And I was like, nobody makes it through the first 3, much less another one. But this is, I don't want to shit on it basically before it happens, but this does not seem promising. And as a person who's LGBT, I will say this, those kind of like rainbow circling, promos for the NXT logo or whatever, which bring to mind, of course, anything relating to Pride just makes you think, yeah, I can see how that would be accurate. Considering you just fired every out and open person except Sonya Deville on your entire roster. So what a great way to represent. Thanks.
Yeah, I think that's Vince's vision, some kind of gay hip hop brand. That seems like something that Vince McMahon would really go for, right?
Oh my God. The whole thing is everything about this is catastrophic. And I think that it's most catastrophic because NXT was the closest thing to actual pro wrestling that we found in their world of sports entertainment. And that's just not acceptable to him.
Daniel Price, it's bad when a gay man is in doubt about a flamboyant logo. It's pretty funny. It's good.
Not just a gay man, I'm a full drag queen, right? So I like when the drag queen's this logo is not doing it for me at all. And I'm like, please don't even tangentially capitalize on messaging to my community when you just fired everybody who's out on your roster.
So a couple more updates here about what's going down. So NXT apparently is going to be like the old NXT moving forward, which appears to be a reference to how the brand was at its peak from 2015 to 2018, so just before kind of the leap over to the USA Network. The situation is a fluid one, with many in NXT not knowing the full situation, which seems to be a daily occurrence in WWE anymore. So things can change, but this does mean a loss of power for Triple H. And in regards to possible changes to the NXT roster, there is a chopping block involving names that have been in NXT for a long time. Of course, it was reported last month that NXT was going to focus more on younger and taller wrestlers with a focus more on developmental, which I mean, you gotta look at Ciampa, Gargano. I don't know who else has really kind of been there for some time now, but those two for sure come to my mind when I see that comment there.
Yeah, I don't understand, what the issue. First of all, like in the back of my mind, I can't help but think that like making public decrees or even private decrees, which become public about people's age, like that's like literally protected status. Your age is a protected status as an employee.
But they're not employees. They're not employees, Paul.
It doesn't matter. It's still protected. But at the same time, I wish they would be more interested rather in the person's size and or age in their ability to present these people in a way that's compelling for me to watch. Like the issue that they actually had with NXT, unfortunately, it was the most compelling and logically told stories in their entire brand, but it had the lowest rating. I think that a big part of that is they've never again, I go back to the fact that they've never truly effectively brought one person from NXT without degrading them or diminishing their value when they made it up to the main roster. So I think people who are not
There's an exception, and that's Riddle.
So they've presented Riddle in a way because Riddle, in my opinion, didn't fit on the NXT product because he was a buffoon, which makes him perfect for Raw.
Yeah, so, but he's a UFC caliber buffoon. He's like Vince McMahon's dream wrestler, idiot muscle guy.
I hate him. Like I cannot stand to watch him on television. So I hated him in NXT and I hate him on Raw. Like I don't know a thing about him as a person, but in terms of, yes, his in-ring skills are great, but the buffoonery, the foolishness, all of that crap that they've got Randy Orton involved in right now, I know fans are eating it up, but other people, myself at least, I just don't like it. So the people that they actually build up as these credible professional wrestlers come over and they get destroyed, but the asshat comes over and he gets to be presented just like that, and that's exactly what makes him so popular with them.
Well, Loki07 here with a super chat. Did the colors of the new NXT logo remind anyone else of how AEW used the multicolor splashes when they first started on Dynamite? What do you mean when they still use them? It's like a huge part of their marketing campaign. When I saw the new NXT logo, I was like, oh shit, they're Pepsi to Coca-Cola now. And that makes AEW Coca-Cola, right? They're ripping the recipe off here, Paul.
Yeah, I mean, it's strange to me that, we're talking about this and we have no idea what the product is going to actually be like. And I think that has some potential, like, maybe they're going to surprise us, but they've got an uphill battle for those of us who've been watching for so long, because we are now predisposed to not like or be overly critical of anything they do because they're openly lambasting something that we truly and genuinely love.
So before I dive into some of the comments here, because there are some really good observations that some people have made, I just kind of want to take a step back and discuss the relationship between Vince and Hunter, right? I have heard for a long time, I'm talking at least 2-3 years now, that there was tensions between Vince and Hunter. And I think part of it is, Hunter created this NXT brand that the fans really loved. And when given the reins to do it on kind of a smaller scale, before it got to USA, had this gritty kind of indie vibe that was really the antithesis of what WWE had become. It felt cool. It felt different. People were putting their faith in Hunter. And I think Vince resented that as all hell. I think that Vince took that as an affront to him and his creative and has been waiting for the opportunity to bury Paul. And I know that is a stiff comment, but by everything I've seen, that's what this is. And there were those reports out there, I think 2 or 3 weeks ago, where Vince sees Paul as the loser in this AEW war. I gave you the reins. I gave you the money. We gave you some space. We gave you the right to hire and push who you wanted. And guess what? You lost, right? And so Vince is going to come in now, and he's going to take control of it, and he is going to be the one to counter Tony Khan. And I really think that's where his headset's like at the moment. And I think that's why he was freaking out backstage on Raw on Monday Night, Paul, because he feels that the grip he's losing the grip. And, there was this guy there in Hunter who seemingly was on the right track, but for whatever reason, Vince doesn't want to put his faith in that guy, and it's messed up, man. Like, I can't even imagine what that Thanksgiving table is like with the McMahon Helmsley, McMahon Levesque family. I mean, that's a messed up one. There's not enough couches in the world for therapists for those two. So,
yeah, I think that it's inevitable that, that there would be that kind of tension, even if there's Vince, this is a whole thing. Like, it's his empire. Mm-hmm. And while invariably people probably think that he's like in this like ivory tower removed from reality, I sincerely doubt that. He's a megalomaniac. He's probably sitting there Googling himself, you know what I mean, to see what people say about him. So the fact that people are simultaneously saying that he's lost touch and that his product that he's in charge of is shit. His son-in-law is like getting mad praise for this. And honestly, looking back, the AEW to NXT war, when they were head to head, it was a 50-50 pretty much, or maybe like a 40-60 in favor of AEW. But once they stopped that competition and moved it, sort of conceding that, AEW just continued to grow. And there's never been anything, like I said, there's never been anything used by WWE to spur people from their bigger two promotional products to go to the third one. Every time they bring people over, they bury them. So for the casual fan, the idea is like, why would I go there? Like, look at what's obviously, I heard this so much about this guy, and here he's this shitty gladiator / Jason from Friday the 13th, Lord Humongous thing. Like, what is this? Or whatever.
Yeah, this war ended for me when Vince decided to stop pushing NXT as a genuine third brand after Survivor Series, when there was real momentum there. Mm-hmm. If you'd have kept NXT hot as this rebel outside group with the main roster, this could be a very, very different story. And I don't put yes, Vince could have done a better job of engaging NXT and letting it be part of the bigger product. But it would be foolish to not think about like how COVID affected that too, right? And then they decided they didn't want the rosters blending, which I actually think was probably one of the better calls that WWE made through this period. But when you regulate these guys to a box and put them to the side and don't let them be a part of the bigger, more visible product, you're putting them in a corner, especially when AEW is shining as bright as they can in the spot that they've got. That right there was the death knell for me when you didn't get 10 NXT guys in that Rumble after Survivor Series.
Yeah, I think at the same time they could have, they definitely done a very good job of branding and marketing their other two products. They could have also branded and marketed this one more strongly on their mainstream products. So you don't have to blend the roster. You could just include stuff that was really hyping, like hype packages for Tuesday nights on Monday, and then people would carry over. And it may not be huge, but people incrementally going over and checking it out will build up. That's exactly what we've seen with AEW. It's not like they did come out of the gates hard, strong and heavy, but the longer they've people have been disenchanted with what's going on in WWE and with the bigger names that are creating buzz as they come into AEW, people are checking it out and they're sticking around. And I think that's exactly what would happen if people went over to NXT.
All right, couple comments here. We'll start with Eric Roberts. Wouldn't be surprised if Triple H knew this was coming, told his boy Adam Cole to run. I also wouldn't be shocked. We had the Bollywood boys on not long ago, and I remember them talking about Shawn Michaels giving them kind of similar advice just before they were let go from the company, where he was like, hey, sometimes you got to go somewhere else to show your value and come back stronger. And these are conversations I'm sure Shawn and Hunter are having with a lot, because they're like, look, if you want to play Vince's game, you got to flex those grapefruits, man. And sitting around doing what you're told only works seemingly for Seth Rollins. So,
Well, you have to remember also these people, it's just like any business, right? Like you may develop a personal relationship with your boss or people who are higher up. And at some point in time, the loyalty to the brand or the company like becomes outweighed by their personal investment in you. And I'm sure that people are saying, look, you're never going to get the break you need here. Or they, we all know how it works when it's like, look, this person, you're like, I'm really advocating and I'm an ally for you. I'm pushing for you. I'm getting a lot of pushback. And then once you start to like, your personal power starts to decrease, they don't have to say anything because they're like, okay, so the person that was pushing for me and giving me all the benefit of the doubt is out. And the person that's coming in is the very person that said no to begin with. I'm out of here.
Couple more Daniel Price. If Vince is getting rid of smaller guys, then O'Reilly is screwed. Yeah, he's another one. And like, I read that comment and I immediately was like, what's the last thing Kyle O'Reilly did on screen? Well, he did pick up a win on Tuesday night against Duke Hudson, who I think we're going to see a lot more Duke Hudsons in Vince McMahon's NXT. And I would worry about Kyle O'Reilly if that's the case. Right.
I think that as much as we are terrified of what's going to happen to NXT, we started this off being like, there's a hierarchy and a chopping block. Look, there's been a chopping block in WWE for at least the last few years. We've seen it hit heavy and hard every few months. And if he comes in and cleans house and gives us a whole bunch of big guys who may or may not be able to kind of resonate with us, all that means to me as a viewer is that these people that I've really enjoyed seeing on NXT are going to become valued members of a roster somewhere, or they're going to come to my hometown because they're back on the indie circuit. I think that either way, everybody's going to come out of this, not worse for wear, but better off because they're probably going to get better opportunities.
They're going to wind up in the storage unit with EC3 and Braun Strowman or Titan, the parcel tongue Titan.
I mean, they may end up in an entire like row of storage units.
It's gonna be storage wars, right?
Mm-hmm. Storage wars, and people are gonna bid on things like, I think number 4 is filled with crushed hopes and dreams. I'm gonna buy that one. I'm gonna buy it. I'll give you $100.
That's really good. You're a man that watches the storage wars. I can tell.
Oh my God, absolutely. Digging around in there. Oh, I think there's something really good in here.
All right. Dave in here saying, hey, Titan is lit. I know that's how you feel, Paul. You love that Titan, that parcel tongue Titan.
I was very distraught to discover his Titan has a last name. It's Tron. So he's the, Titan Tron. And like, this is his new thing, space. I don't know. I'm not into him.
Go Hogs for life. Just saying, yep. All right. I guess agreeing with this. All right. Moving on here. Fightful saying, the working plan internally as of last week was for WrestleMania 38 to be a 2-night event, as WrestleMania 36 and 37 were. Depending on how things go with COVID, this would be the first 2-night WrestleMania event in front of a full crowd. It was noted the reception from the roster to another 2-night Mania has been unanimously positive. Nothing is official until WWE announces it, but many people within WWE have been notified of plans for a 2-night WrestleMania event, and thank God. Yeah, thank God.
I think that there are definitely people out there who loved that, like Jerry Lewis telethon length of WrestleMania. But at the same time, think about all the good that comes from this. First of all, people, we just saw it this year. People who would not presumably have the chance to be the actual main event of a WrestleMania, like we saw from Sasha and Bianca earlier this year, got to be the main event of WrestleMania. Yeah. And it's historic in that right. And it also just makes it an overall more enjoyable viewing experience. Like, there's no way humans can go through the emotional roller coaster that is professional wrestling for an 8-hour stint. Not to mention, like, I was not mad that they cut out all those stupid like celebrity doodads in between and all that crap. God, that, like, I hate that stuff.
Yeah, I mean, look, as somebody who's had to go cover WrestleManias for the past several years, I'll tell you, those 8-hour odysseys suck. They are, for the live fans, just death, right? Like you hit a point 5 hours in where you're just wait for the main event, as good as the card may be. 2 nights, I think, is good. I mean, it's like a Lollapalooza. It's like a WrestlePalooza now. You know, you go out, you got 2 big events at night. The indies come in, they flush out during the day. You got your conventions that you could go to. I mean, it becomes a full weekend for wrestling fans. And I think that's just way better than trying to just cram it all into a 24-hour period. I like that this breathes. I'm with you on every level. I see here Rob Humphrey here saying, am I the only one who prefers the One Night Mania? Maybe.
You're not, Rob. Like, I know that there are other people who advocate for it as well. And I think that in some ways, that one-day epic event makes, things seem so much more epic, right? Like, it is this huge thing. But I think that it's so emotionally draining that as a fan, like if you're actually there in attendance, remember, most of us watch from home, but there's going to be like 50,000 people sitting trapped in that place for 8 hours of show. By the end, like it's going to be hard for them to not be dead, and I don't mean like deceased. I mean like their energy level to be dead for matches that otherwise should be getting a lot of attention or pop and I think that can really change the way that certain people perceive the viewing experience.
Yeah, and you know what? Maybe this is a challenge for Vince here. Maybe the challenge is, can he come up with a program on Raw that could headline either night, right? I mean, I think that was the thing that was glaring this past Mania, is the fact that SmackDown closed out both nights. And again, like SmackDown right now, they got Brock and Becky. I mean, Roman's over there. It is a one-sided equation in WWE right now, with SmackDown getting all the love, right?
Yeah, and the part that's, I'm just gonna say this, y'all. I don't understand the idea that they're trying to brand Bobby Lashley as the bad guy for attacking the kid who attacked him from behind. Like, I mean, legitimately beat that kid's ass. He shouldn't have gotten in the ring. So I don't understand how it makes him a bad guy, right? Like things that just don't make sense over there. And it's sad to me because I think Bobby Lashley is doing the absolute best work of his career. I'm a Bobby Lashley fan, and I have been for a while. And I think that he deserves better than a feud with Goldberg, to be honest.
Darth Lucas saying, not going to get 100,000 plus in Dallas twice. And I disagree. They'll do it. They'll absolutely do it. You
have to remember, Darth, like, they're not drawing 100,000 people from Dallas. They're drawing 100,000 people from around the world.
Right.
And, if you think that people are going to fly in from somewhere and they're not going to go to both days of WrestleMania, you're wrong. Like, you are absolutely wrong.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Some unfortunate news here for anybody that was looking forward to Steve Austin and John Cena's upcoming Broken Skull Sessions. It is no longer going to air on Saturday, September 16th after Extreme Rules. An episode with Austin interviewing Seth Rollins is going to premiere instead. No word why on this episode was nixed, or if it's going to air at a later date, but like big WTF, like what?
Well, this is clearly one of the biggest, guest announcements that they've had in a while. And as much as we love Seth Rollins, in terms of what we want to hear from him, he's no John, he's no Cena, that's for sure.
Dude, I have no idea what happened here. We're putting it out there. Hopefully by tomorrow we know more about like what happened here. But just like, was it his schedule? Did John say something Vince didn't like? Like, I want to know what happened in this interview. So I guess we'll find out.
And it's already taped, isn't it?
I think
one would imagine, right? It's like coming up and like this is these are kind of advanced produced. This is big TV now.
Yeah, I thought that they would have just grabbed John, while he was sitting backstage, not appearing on Raw and waiting to do whatever the post-show little hat wave is, and they sat him down with Steve for an hour, right? And got some content out. I thought, but I guess I think too hard. I expect too much. Well, Lana, she shared the following on social media yesterday. 90 days is over. You know what that means. And many fans are speculating. That means AEW bound, as you know what that means is, of course, a Brody Lee reference that AEW has kind of picked up on. You know, she could be seconding Miro. She could show up in the Casino Battle Royal, which we'll talk a little bit more about in the mailbag. What do you kind of want to see from Lana right now, Paul, just personally?
I think that it's going to I don't want her to be paired with Miro.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's natural that's what people are expecting, and I would think it would be natural to put them together. I don't know that now is the time. Miro is doing well. They're pushing this, God's greatest champion gimmick. And I just think that she brings him heat, but she also distracts from people's perception of his credibility and ability to do that for himself. And so I would not want that. So I'm not sure where she fits into that picture.
I kind of do want to see her with Miro, just because I think that with the chains off, so to speak, like letting those two show more of themselves as a unit and less of this 2D Bulgarian Russian evil duo that Vince McMahon, manifested. I mean, Lana, CJ Perry, by wrestling standards and just kind of in general, one of the best actresses in the business,
Oh, her acting, like her ability to portray a character, I think is above and beyond most other people. In ring, shaky, but in terms of her ability to tell a storyline that's compelling, absolutely.
And that's what I think. I think that because Miro, as great as a big brute as he is in this God's favorite champion thing, his promos haven't really lit people up. And I think that Lana kind of being subservient kind of a cult member, kind of God's favorite champion, building Miro up, kind of I think that she would have fun with it. I think that she would add to that act. And I think that her by his side, I think the fans kind of want to see it. I was against it kind of a bit at first too, because I think Miro has been really good. But the more I think about it, I mean, if they want to do it and the fans want to, I think, see it, I don't really have an issue with it. I think that I would rather see her do that than pop up in the Casino Battle Royal and possibly make news for the wrong reasons,
Right. Well, I mean, I will say this. I have an issue with this, the God's greatest thing to begin with. It doesn't resonate with me. If we just went with the Redeemer, that would be okay with me. That works a little bit better. And I do think that pairing Lana, CJ with Miro, if they wanted to throw him into high gear, is the way to do it, because I think that they're gold together. And if they wanted to give them some kind of a shtick or whatever they give them character-wise, if it's different than just being Miro and CJ, Lana's going to be able to do that. You know what I mean? She's been very convincing in every role they've given her. Right. And I think that she would do extremely well. And I think that together they are very, very special, So it's, to me, I don't have a problem necessarily with the pairing of them. I just think it's one of those things that I personally would probably save to pull the trigger on until they want to do even more with him.
Yeah. And I think there's
in a rocket mode.
I think there's a really good case for that too. Maybe not now. I mean, not everybody needs to get shoved through the door right now. Lana is, or we should just start calling her CJ because she's no longer Lana. CJ is going to be on the Surreal Life. She has ingrained herself in Hollywood. There are outside pro wrestling opportunities for her. She prints money with her Instagram account. There's not really a need to insert her into what Miro and AEW are doing right now. I would maybe wait till he drops the title and have her come in like what they want to do with Scarlett, we're told, and help him find his manhood, his mojo again after he loses the title, as the motivating factor for him to move on. That feels better when I say it out loud like that, doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean, because of the fact that's what I'm saying. They've got him hitting a steady pace right now. He's over with the fans. He gets to do his thing. But the thing is that if you're going to keep moving him forward or notching him up, you have to have another gear to hit, right? There has to be the next gear to take it. And I would ride this one until it's done, and then she's the next gear.
Yes.
And the fact of the matter is, she's obviously in their back pocket. I don't think she's aching to go out there and work. I don't think she's aching to be back on TV because she's got all these side projects. I mean, it's not that situation. And like, we could very easily see a scenario like what we've seen with Renee Paquette, where she's not like dying to get back on pro wrestling television right now. She's got other projects she's working on. Her husband's there. She's in the back pocket of AEW, presumably if they ever wanted to call her up. And CJ is something because she has a different kind of on-air role than Renee has. CJ would be that perfect thing to, like, you know, throw the booster on Miro if you want to send him sky high.
Well, last night I was at AEW Dynamite in Chicago, and it was a fine show. It wasn't the best show AEW's ever done in front of Chicago fans. It was also not a sold out show. I mean, the hard cam side was rather full. The side behind the hard cam was decently full, but I mean, the whole, like, you look to the right and the top rafters were bare. It was not a full house for Dynamite. And so it felt a little weird to me.
Well, the fact that people would even like consider, you know, there's people who are like speculating at home, like, oh, so they are failing. That's definitely not a failure to me. Like, they had a hot crowd, probably paid for the costs, you know, of the live event. They've also been there like 62 times in the last 2 weeks, you know.
It's a lot, dude. It's a lot. So anyway, you know, one of the biggest news items to come out of last night's Dynamite, which was largely hype and fluff for All Out this weekend, is that Billy Gunn and the Gun Club have turned heel.
There's my smile. Like Shawn Michaels, I lost my smile.
They've turned heel, Paul. They laid out Paul White with a chair after he was being attacked by QT Marshall and the Factory. And now we have, I guess, the Gun Club, who I believe is part of the Nightmare family, working with the Factory, who is, you know, an anathema to the whatever, dude. This came out of nowhere. Literal gasp from people in attendance. They were all like, oh, right? Like, it was just, I don't know. I take it this did nothing for you.
It did less than nothing for me because, you know, I'm not a Paul White fan to begin with. You know, I haven't been intrigued or excited about the thought of his in-ring return, especially against QT Marshall. Nothing about that intrigued me. And then let's be realistic here. For anybody who's watched AEW Dynamite, we've seen Billy Gunn and the Gun Club almost exclusively in the front row as fans during most of COVID time when they were filming at Daly's place. They have not like got any kind of build up on television as in terms of Dynamite viewership. You know, it's like, what in the actual hell is going on here?
I wonder if it's Tony deciding that some of these Attitude Era faces are going to help maybe bring in a different audience. Maybe that's why they're reheating Billy up. I mean, Matt Hardy's been getting a lot more TV time recently, and that's been noticeable to me. And, you know, opened up that big first Dynamite with Punk, Matt Hardy, and Orange Cassidy.
Mm-hmm.
I think I
also thought was a terrible match, but go on.
But you see the method to the mayhem.
Oh yes, I absolutely do. When they opened on the Orange Cassidy and Matt Hardy, I was like, oh, like he wants people who are tuning in for this to see a WWE face.
They want it. Yeah, he wants people to see names that they know and some new names they don't know. But the new names they don't know are becoming fewer and fewer, far between over at AEW. And I know a lot of people, they want to say, oh, it's too many it's starting to look like WWE light or whatever. Look, you got top athletes, available in the pool. You're gonna put them on your baseball team. All right. You don't sit there and say, oh, just because they played for the Braves, we don't want them at the Yankees. You know, top tier talent. You know, I'm not going to knock them, right? But that just seems to be the direction everything's going right now with AEW.
Yeah. I mean, I thought it was, what I think is notable is the fact that Billy Gunn has been on this roster for like, since the beginning, and we've barely ever seen him. I thought we would get to see him more often early on because for the very fact that it's Billy Gunn, right? But I think that they kept him off TV and focused more on his kids because they wanted to give the idea that they were not replicating stars that we'd seen in WWE. And now that's out the window.
Yeah. MCASP. Why, Billy? Why? Dave in. The people love QT. Daniel Price now taking bets on Billy Gunn throwing a Fameasser on White and QT winning. Chaz Show. Gun Club is the worst, but I loved this segment. I mean, again, people are talking about it, right? At the least. I like this one here from Judy Wong. Paul, you are a Pratt. Dumb. Okay, two quick items here before we get to the Tony Khan media call, and then we'll wrap up real briefly with the mailbag. We have here an update on Max Caster. I saw, here it is. Rob Humphrey asked me, Nick, are you going to see Max Caster tonight? Well, it's funny you asked that because I was actually thinking really hard about going tonight. Max Caster has a show at the Bottom Lounge in Chicago. It's $20. But then last night at Dynamite, he returned in a dark match. He helped Bowens win. He beat Griff Garrison. Spoiler alert for all you dark fanatics out there. But didn't cut a promo, just back in the fold. And now I don't want to go see a show because the show was only intriguing to me if we thought something was up. We didn't know what he was going to say on the microphone. The fact that it seems that AEW and he have gotten to a point where he's back in the fold and is working with the company again, I'm way less interested in his show. I'm sorry. And I don't know what that says about me, but I'm less interested now.
Well, I mean, I think that it means that you were sort of like a rubbernecker. You were like the people who watched that train, the car accident as they're driving past, right? You wanted to see the catastrophe that was possibly going to happen. And I think that if he were out of the show, that would be something that'd be more intriguing. What makes me sad about this is that I really liked the Acclaim's gimmick. And if they've cut him doing the raps and all of this stuff, to me, that's very, very sad. It's one of the things like throwing the baby out with the bathwater is whatever that old saying is, because, okay, so you've had an issue with this. How about somebody actually work with him and make sure that like what he's saying aligns with what you want to broadcast? Don't,
They still should have put a statement out like they did with Sammy, fully addressing the situation, talking about what is being changed from a production standpoint to not allow something like this to happen again, or work with Max to, enlighten him as to why what he did was wrong. We got none of that, man. This guy just went away. He bitched and moaned, sold his gear on eBay, made it obvious he felt disrespected by the company. And then after AEW, I guess, witheringly tapped out, worried about whatever Max was going to say on a microphone tonight at the Bottom Lounge, is now back in the fold. That doesn't smell or feel right to me about how all this was handled, Paul.
Well, I thought they did in terms of saying how production was going to change. Like that was Tony Khan coming out and being like, obviously I have to take care of everything around here. I have to do it myself. He said that he's going to take over all of the editing for all the productions, for all the hours of shows that they're doing. And, so I thought that was the statement about how it's going to be handled differently. But, I don't know. I think this whole thing, frankly, I feel like it got utterly blown out of proportion too, because this was one promo that he cut that people didn't like. Otherwise, this team is, as far as I'm concerned, they're stars and they deserve to be stars. And, when somebody, they're both, I'm not going to use their young thing as or Max is young as to excuse it. What I'm saying is they're young. And this is their first time doing this stuff at any high level or profile. So if they fall on their face, pick them up, admonish them, and then get them back on track.
You have to see the lesson learned here. You have to show growth. You can't just say, oh, we messed up, then say nothing else, and then watch the performer in question flounder and resent your company, and then bring him back with no explanation. The whole thing just smacked.
And silenced. Bring him back with no explanation and silenced. That doesn't, I don't think that's the answer here. My hope is that Max and Anthony are able to kind of get back on solid footing and reclaim the Acclaim that they had going up into this situation, because they were very over. They were very hot. They're a very talented duo, and I want to see good things for both of them.
All right, lastly here before we get to Tony Khan, and we'll briefly dabble in the mailbag. The New York Post caught up with CM Punk, and they asked him if AJ Lee could be returning to pro wrestling much like him. He responded, "I just want to say no, just because of her neck. The reason she stopped wrestling is because of her neck. She's got a bad neck, I wouldn't want her to jeopardize her health, and neither would she, so we'll put an end to that rumor right now." Very odd to me that Punk delivered this message on behalf of AJ. Why is AJ not speaking for herself on this matter is what I'd like to know.
Well, I mean, I don't think it's odd that he delivered this message on her behalf. I think that he answered a question that was asked to him directly. And I think that AJ is probably not being asked those questions at any level that she wants to answer at.
I think it would have been more polite to say, I think that's a question you should ask my wife. Even if he had to hunt for it. So that's just me, maybe. All right, Paul, I want to thank you so much for joining me at Top Show Talk the News today. Tony, thank you so much for the access on the media call. The full audio will be up on the YouTube channel here shortly, and we'll have you just listen to it if you're listening to us in audio form, whatever. We got the mailbag here to real quickly get into the Wrestling Inc. Daily, our account at Wink Daily, WINC Daily. We're at 1,226 followers. We are on the road to 1,300, which, I mean, we got Halloween on the horizon. 13 is a spooky, evil number. If we can get to 1,300 followers by Halloween, my little jack-o'-lantern heart will be lit with the lightest of fires.
How many do we have now?
We have 1,226.
You don't think we're going to reach 1,300 by the end of October?
Well, I just want to set attainable goals. If we get to 1,300.
At the end of October, it's the 1st of September. I think we should be looking to hit 1,300 followers on here by the 1st of October.
Okay, all right. What do you want us to have by Halloween then? 14 or 15? How high do you want to go here?
I think that the next 2 months, I think we should have 1,500 followers.
Okay, fine. Wow, this is some crisp, man.
November 1st, we should have 1,500 followers.
You got to visualize the secret, right? Manifest itself.
If you don't believe it, nobody else is going to believe it.
Yeah.
You have to put yourself over. Get in within the first 1,500, because after 1,500, we are taking off, and you want to be a founding member of our internet following.
Dave in. Houseman has no faith in the product. I have all the faith in the product. Attainable goals, little goals. You meet the goal, you go to the next goal. But I like Paul thinking big here. I think Paul's right.
You think we can get 4 more followers, by Halloween? That's 2 months from now. Well, I mean, I want to be attainable.
It would be nice if we had 6,666 followers by Halloween. That's a very big goal. I'm asking us to add over 5,000 followers, but you know what?
That's absurd. By next Halloween, I think we can have that many.
Okay, all right. Next
Halloween, I think we can have that many.
Maybe 1,666 followers by Halloween. That's a little bit more manageable.
That's perfect. Exactly. See, that's a goal.
Okay, 1,666 followers by Halloween is the goal for the Wrestling Inc. Daily. And for that matter, I'm like 100 away from 6,666 followers myself. So help me get to that super spooky evil goal as well. That'd be wonderful. All right, today's poll question comes from the following report. AEW President Tony Khan, this isn't a report. This is something that's public. Tony Khan announced through his Twitter that Pac versus Andrade, originally scheduled for All Out, is going to be postponed to a future episode of Rampage due to travel issues. Now, although AEW has yet to make an official announcement, Andrade is teasing via Twitter that he will face a mystery opponent on Sunday. This has led fans to speculate on who that could be, bringing up names like Daniel Bryan, Buddy Murphy, Adam Cole, or even our good buddy Braun Titan Strowman. And because of this, the Women's Casino Battle Royal match that was originally set for the buy-in pay-per-view pre-show is going to be on the main card. And good. Showcase your women, right?
That's it's been one of the biggest complaints about AEW from Go is that that their women do not get the shine that they deserve. So, I mean, putting them on the main show, yeah. Good.
Also, if Ruby Riott is the Joker, that would be great. I mean, the whole runaway thing to New York, it seems like she's being positioned maybe more for Arthur Ashe. I don't know that they're going to bring her out in Chicago, but I don't know why you wouldn't. She's beloved here in Chicago. She's like the Lady Punk. Okay. Would make a lot of sense. I've heard Chelsea Green maybe bandied about as somebody that could be that Joker as well, being added to the mix. I don't know.
Chelsea's going everywhere. I just spent the weekend with her. Also, she's nice AF. She's really cool.
Yeah. Chelsea Green, big Chelsea Green fan. Green with Envy. Wonderful. Positive podcast. So we asked today then in regards to Andrade's tease, who would you like to see step up and be this mystery opponent if that's what goes down at All Out? Daniel Bryan, Buddy Murphy, Adam Cole, somebody else. Over 550 votes here in the past hour. 36.7 Daniel Bryan, 31.4 Adam Cole, 24.9 Buddy Murphy. A lot tighter than I expected. And then we got a couple write-in votes. Actually, more than a couple. We got over 20. We're not going to get to them all here. Who do you want to see step up here, Paul?
You know, I agreed with a lot of the write-in votes in terms of the fact that I don't think that we should see Andrade in a situation where it's him taking on someone else who are not positioned to lose at this point in time. You know, so I think that Sammy Guevara, who was written in multiple times, is a great option. A baby face of the Latino community. Exactly. You know, they're both they're going to do that thing. And Sammy taking on Andrade, if Sammy falls a little short in the goal, Sammy's on the come up, you know, Andrade's already there. So I think that that's a very good option.
Yeah, I see a lot of write-ins here on Twitter for Sammy Guevara. I like this one from Six Strings 9880. Surprise twist. It's Pac doing his Mighty Mouse gimmick. That's funny. I like the write-in here for Rich Hertz, Fuego del Sol. The fans are behind him right now. That would be a nice kind of surprise. I would not hate Fuego del Sol. And let's see here. X-Pac, I'm sorry, California with a K. That's not going to happen. Sean is not rehabbed yet. J Black 8509. Lance Hoyt, Lance Archer. He's not on the card. Very weird. What the hell happened with Hoyt or Archer? Remember he had a big moment? Nothing.
Remember he was like, like remember he just became a champ and like then we haven't seen him since.
Very weird. Let's go over here. We have Serpentico from Incask. I don't think that's going to happen. Samantha, I think Adam Cole would be great. It would be an interesting way to debut an Adam Cole like that. But I mean, dude, I think it's All Out just going to be a slew of new talent to AEW. I mean, it's kind of starting to feel like that, isn't it?
Yeah. Yes, it is. And yes, it feels that way. And yes, it's already a slew of new talent to AEW.
Brian Bills 1417. Nick stop. If Nick stops ignoring us Twitch chatters, I'm sorry. I'm not trying to ignore anybody here right now. But Dave in, by the way, saying followed the Wink Daily account on Twitter on the road to 1,666, baby. That's great. Thank you so much. Let's see here.
By the way, I was chatting with Brian Bills, like I think last night on Twitch. So welcome in.
At our, RKO XX Kane Hangman. You know what? I think we'll wrap on that one. I think that's a good final suggestion. Everybody wondering what's going on with Hangman Page. I don't rule out that Hangman is going to have something to do with All Out. I mean, his baby hasn't been born yet, so it would be a little weird for him to pop up and then have to go back to being a dad. But, you know, I really think that if whatever, like All Out morning, we find out Christian Cage was attacked by the Elite, you know, he was badly mauled on Wednesday night at Dynamite. You know, Kenny Omega did the effing creepiest post-show thing. Go watch the video. I put it up on our Twitter feed. Him taking Christian's lifeless body, put the belt over it, and making everybody take photos of him. What a weirdo. Anyway, I could see Christian being mauled, taken out, and then everybody's wondering what's going to happen with the world title picture, and maybe last second, that's where you get that Hangman Page return out of nowhere to come challenge Kenny, and the whole place just goes effing nuts, and you end All Out, not on focusing on a Daniel Bryan, not focusing on a CM Punk or Ruby Soho, and putting the focus on one of the young talents who are trying to get over, which is what they keep saying they want to do, you know?
You know, there's a lot to say that you want to do something, but it's a different story when you actually do it. So, you know, I think that right now, we all have our favorite pair of shoes, but then you go buy those new shoes and you wear them every day for like 5 weeks until you wear them out, and then you're like, I really always like these shoes anyway. That's what happened. What's happening right now in AEW. Tony Khan's buying a lot of fun toys, and they are displacing his previously fun toys.
Well, talking about shoes, Paul, that'll wrap us up here today. Tomorrow, come on back. I'm going to have a conversation with Heels actor Alan Maldonado. Alan Maldonado, he plays Rooster on Heels. One of my favorite actors on the series. If you watched episode 3 recently, I wish that I had seen episode 3 before I did this interview with him. It wasn't out yet. We had only seen 1 and 2, and he's like a limited character. Episode 3, he has a really dramatic kind of plot about struggling with being a very talented black wrestler in wrestling and never getting the opportunities that white wrestlers get, like a Ricky Rabies, aka CM Punk. It was easily my favorite episode of the series so far, and he was such a bright light in it, and you guys are really going to love this talk. I had no idea really anything about him or what kind of a person he was. I left this thing a huge Alan Maldonado fan, and I hope you guys come back for it tomorrow and enjoy it. We'll have that up on our Wrestling Inc. YouTube channel. Of course, you like Wrestling Inc., the Wrestling Inc. Daily, support WrestlingInc.com, where all the socials. And at night after the big shows, we go live with the Wrestling Inc. podcast here, different faces, different punditry. But subscribe to that, the Wrestling Podcast and the Daily. We're on all your favorite podcast platforms. Paul, what do you want to plug, promote, put over here to wrap up the show today?
Well, Nick, I'm going to be in Chicago. I leave tomorrow to arrive in Chicago for Sunday's Big Gay Brunch, Effie's Big Gay Brunch, presented by Game Changer Wrestling. That's Sunday, September 5th. Just go look that up, Big Gay Brunch on Eventbrite. I think you can get the tickets there.
Yep. And
then that's really what I'm trying to put over. Of course, go follow me on socials. There's lots of fun wrestling content there. I'm sure anybody who followed me from before I started doing a lot of wrestling is probably irritated as shit because that's all I talk about on my socials right now. And if you haven't followed me on Instagram at Pollo Del Mar Fans, you're going to see lots of photos popping up there from my weekend at Empower.
There you go. And Dave in here saying, are Nick and Paul going to hang? Yeah, I actually am coming to Big Gay Brunch. I'm bringing Liz with me. So I'll be there Sunday morning. I think we're going to hang out, maybe do some lunch or something. And then she's going to come back to the city. And then I'm going to go do all out coverage. So yeah, hopefully grab a cocktail or something this week.
So Nick and Paul will not be hanging then.
Nick and Paul.
Yeah, exactly. Because obviously, as the host of that show, I'm going to be done.
Well, maybe afterwards.
Oh, right? Yeah, for sure. Absolutely.
Maybe I'll hang with Polio and Paul, right?
Exactly. You get the best of both worlds.
Oh, I'm Miley Cyrus over here. Come on now. I am at Nick_House, but thank you all so much for tuning in. What a great show. I'll talk to you tomorrow. We'll have Christy Olsen back. And remember, if you winked,